Just look at these streets. They are packed with people everywhere, just enjoying a lovely evening, strolling around with their family. Do these people look like they're in fear of being mugged, attacked, robbed? No. And also, when the streets are busy and packed like this, how can there be any crime? There's so many people around. Another thing, China has one of the best surveillance systems in the world. Smart technology, working in harmony with the people across the city and across China. A seamless network of high-definition cameras, intelligent systems ensures that safety isn't just a goal, it's a guarantee. Every moment is protected by eyes that never blink. Facial recognition, AI tracking, and real-time response aren't science fiction here. They're daily life. Lose your wallet, it'll be returned. Someone causes trouble, they'll be identified and dealt with swiftly, all without disrupting the peace. This isn't about control, it's about confidence. People go about their lives knowing that justice is proactive, not reactive. That the streets are safe not by chance, but by design. But it's not just about the cameras. Technology, yeah, it plays its part, sure, but the real foundation of safety and order across China is something deeper. The strength of Chinese society itself. This is a culture built on values like respect, responsibility, and collective harmony. People look out for each other. Communities are tight-knit. There's a sense of pride in public spaces and shared responsibility that you could feel in the air. In Europe, the US, UK, crime is rampant. It's out of control. I recently went back to the UK and I was just walking around in London somewhere using my phone to check the GPS and where to go. And I had to hold my phone so tight, like this, right? And I had to like, get it out and keep it like, close to me like this. And when I'm checking GPS, like this. I was holding it so tight in fear that someone on a bike would just drive past and swipe it out of my hands. I was holding it so tight that it hurt my hands. I think I pulled my shoulder because I was just holding it so tight. I had an iron grip on my phone. That's how bad it's got in London.
Yeah, baby, it's episode 88 of The Whiners on June 25th, 2026. Jeff Norman, Morgan Blythe, and Brian Milton with you, as we always are on Thursday nights. And tonight we're joined by Jason Smith, an American journalist based in China, of all places. He is host of the very popular Bridge to China podcast that you can see on YouTube. And my dear friend, the very bald, slightly effeminate Ryan Milton was recently a guest on that show. Check it out, folks. And we're happy that Jason is joining us tonight to talk about a world in chaos and how possibly China is the sanctuary we all need.
Whoa.
Maybe. Morgan is skeptical. She doesn't like the surveillance state, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, I don't like surveillance, but
All right, we'll get there.
Well, anyway, with the world really is in chaos. Sorry to state the obvious. Does that mean it's a good time to buy gold or silver, Ryan? What do you say?
Well, I will say this. Secretary Bessent has said that gold and silver pose a threat to the U.S. dollar-denominated world system. Dollar dominance has to be essential, but everything that's gone on in Iran does not bode well for that. You have record leverage in the financial markets, rising inflation, lots of uncertainty. Tesla was going down today. People were very panicked about that. So actually, this is a time when people think about diversification and they think about, what can they taste with their tooth? So I'm buying gold, and we learned tonight Jason is buying gold. All of the smart money is buying gold, like central banks all around the world are buying gold. So I would just
You mean
say,
they have gold left, that you can get that in China? Your neighbors in Taiwan haven't gobbled it all up for their chips and whatnot?
yeah, Jason,
we buy it through the bank.
Yeah,
Oh.
we buy gold through the bank. I don't have any gold in my house, but
Oh.
yeah, I'm invested in gold, and I think that it's if you watch Ben Norton, economist, the U.S. stock market inevitably will collapse. Well, it won't necessarily be tomorrow or next year, but it's going to happen. And when that happens, you're going to wish you had gold.
Yeah, well, here in the democracy of the United States, I bought gold and I have it in my house in a safe with lots of guns around it. So that's how it works here in Texas. So I would just say people should go to winers.gold, get the Goldco information package on it, and learn. I'm one of their customers. Jeff is. There's a lot of things that can be done there, and I hope my microphone is doing well.
Yeah, I agree with Morgan's note. Your audio is not proper. It's not what it usually is. It's not terrible. It's passable. So don't panic. Oh, hold on. I think you just did something, right?
Did I? I don't know.
You sounded distant. You sound a little more
Do
present.
I sound more present now?
It's the same.
Am I better now?
So I don't think it's that microphone that's on.
Yeah, I think when you came
I
out,
was having issues. So
You are having issues, but don't bring your mental health into this. This is a separate thing.
I
All right. Well, anyway, let's talk about what we're drinking. Ryan may be drinking too much. I don't know if that has anything.
No. I'm good. I bet you I sound
it's a
better.
bit early.
Just a coincidence. This is what's causing Brian's camera and microphone and everything else to go haywire.
So don't say that I don't like anything about Europe. This is a good French wine from the Pouilly-Fuissé Burgundy area of France, and it is a Chardonnay. I'm not a big fan of Chardonnay, but this is good. This is very good. Drink it cold.
I see Wine Spectator gave it a 90 rating, so you got to.
Yeah.
You can't
90
argue.
rating. Yeah, but here's a down, Jeff. It was a $30 bottle of wine.
Oh, well, it better be 90 for $30.
Yeah, so it's crisp apple and honeysuckle and gardenia kind of flavors. So it's very good. I was
hoping it would have a little gardenia in it. You know, I hate when my Chardonnay doesn't have gardenia. Don't you, Jason? Yes, I'll take that as a yes. I'm drinking a California Petite Syrah tonight. Rather strange winemaker, a rather strange name for the winemaker, Guenoc. I haven't heard. Have you guys ever heard of Guenoc before?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, you have? I have not. Anyway, it's a good Petite Syrah. Yeah, it's very petite and it's very Syrah-ish. $15 average price, not bad at all. 7 o'clock in the morning for you, Jason. I take it you're not drinking any adult beverages at this time.
I thought that it was a requirement, so I went out and got this.
Oh my God!
Look at you.
Wait, what is that? What is that? Let's see up close to the camera.
Yeah, this is Changyu, which is grown in Shandong, Yantai, which is where my wife is from, and is why I bought it. It was 59 RMB, which is about $8.
Nice.
And that, wait a second. How is that wine? Because I had a bottle of Chinese wine, and I forget exactly where it was from. Wasn't so good.
You know, I've had Great Wall, and I don't want to insult their company, but I didn't like it. But this wine I actually do like. I'm surprised. It's very flavorful.
Wow.
We can't reverse do the mirror thing on Jason's camera because the label was reading backwards.
Sorry. Chong is in CHANGUYU. Changyu.
Okay,
No,
I don't think we'll be doing any.
He'll have to. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. We won't be doing any more reading. So
I mean, if it was in Chinese, we still couldn't read it, Jeff. Just let me say to you right now.
Yeah, what am I? I'm faking it, I guess. I don't know. All right. And how about you, Morgan? Ryan was lobbied hard for Morgan to drink tonight.
Yes, he did, and he won. I'm drinking a red blend from Naomi. So nothing too grand over here, but
From where?
Pinch. Naomi?
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were drinking one. We had Naomi Prinz on.
No.
And she owns a winery. I thought you might.
She does. I don't know. It's not her name. It's something else.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name.
I know, but everybody mispronounces it. Yeah, the name of her wine, right?
Now, Jeff, we don't have a whole lot of time with Jason, because he's in an authoritarian regime. He is here against his will, and somebody is passing him pieces of paper on what to say.
That's right.
The USA is far more authoritarian than
They're standing.
The USA is far more authoritarian than China, says Jason. Go ahead, Jason. Make your case.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, let's just talk about this. We'll just start. There's so many ways to make this case that it's impossible to actually finish, because I don't think you'll have enough time for me to say all the reasons why this is true. But let's just talk about alcohol. So I don't know what it's like in your guys' states, Texas and North Carolina, but in California, you walk around with an open container, you are in trouble. You can get arrested for that. Drinking alcohol in public, unless you're inside a bar, or you're inside your home, you're in trouble. But in China, you can walk around with a beer or vodka, whatever, drinking in the street, right in front of the police, in the movie theater, walking around. Another thing, movie theaters. You can walk into a movie theater with McDonald's or Burger King or whatever you just bought next door, a full pizza, and you and your friends can eat it there. There's no like sneaking the candy bar into the theater stuff. So that's just regular stuff. But let's talk about the reality. I want to experience, you had Jason Lightfoot at the beginning of the show. That's that guy's name. I met him a couple times. Lovely man. He's talking about surveillance. And yeah, there's surveillance in China, but not everywhere, especially not in just like rural towns and stuff. But still, there's no crime. It's not just surveillance. I think it's about alleviating poverty. China did have abject poverty 10 years ago. 15 years ago, there were millions of people still living in horrible conditions. But China has focused on raising everyone out of poverty. And now, in 2012, when I arrived here, it wasn't paradise. It wasn't just because of cultural values. I don't want to sell that. It's not just because of Confucianism. There was poverty, and so there was crime. But China alleviated poverty. And there's still people who are living below $10 a day, I think. But there are nobody living below $4.20 a day anymore. And so what you have when people's lifestyles are getting better, then they have more affluence and they're becoming more prosperous, even though they're still experiencing smaller degrees of poverty, is they are not incentivized to commit crimes. So when we're talking about freedom in China, I go outside. I mean, a 15-year-old girl could go outside alone in the middle of the night. She's not going to be scared. And she doesn't have a reason to be scared. And I don't have a reason to be scared. In San Francisco, I would not go out at night, and especially in some areas of San Francisco, because I would be scared alone. And I'm like a 6-foot tall guy who goes to the gym every single day of the week, and I'm scared. That's not freedom,
Well, you mentioned that you can walk around with alcohol. That's a nice thing. You can sort of do that in some places here. But I think that's, in a sense, a self-defeating argument, because what about marijuana? Tell us how you can walk around anywhere you want with marijuana in China now, because they are so open-minded, and they would never put anybody in prison just because they're using an intoxicant that they might prefer over alcohol.
That's an interesting point, because the federal government, it's still illegal. So, I mean, if the feds want to crack down on you, they actually can. So they can be selective about the implementation of the law in the USA. Yeah. So what are you talking about?
Because they don't. It's trending in the right direction. The feds don't do anything about it. Come on.
They can, though. And people are still serving time for selling a joint or whatever. Yes,
so in a compare and contrast with China, you're going to say it's worse here on that score because it's on the books that they could do it?
Well, you have people still.
What good will that do me when I'm in China and I want to get some nice indica?
You cannot smoke marijuana in China. That you're absolutely right. You cannot smoke. You will serve prison time in China. Do not bring marijuana into China.
And that's a very bad thing. I mean, we're kidding around on it, but it is a really bad thing.
Maybe.
Well, okay. Well, I mean,
you disagree, Ryan?
Well, I would say that it depends, right? If your government is actually interested in maximizing the development of the population to contribute to the, improvement of the country, maybe it's not a good thing. If you want a country of losers who, can't remember the last brain cell, okay, well then, you're right.
You sound like a Chinese propagandist. Why you can make this? You could say the same nonsense about alcohol, Ryan.
Well, I don't think you can say the same thing about alcohol.
Well, that's precisely the same symptoms. But you're going to tell me that marijuana, on average, is more damaging than alcohol?
People who smoke marijuana today don't even remember the brain cells they've lost.
I don't think there's any data that supports that they lose their cognitive ability.
They do. Are you kidding me?
Can I just say one thing? I think every culture is built out of its own history and its own context. And so I think you guys need to remember the Opium Wars. You know,
beer is a gateway. Beer is a gateway drug, John.
Yeah, I think actually this is a good point. The Opium Wars.
You know, China was subjugated through the forced use of opium. You know, Britain invaded China, forced them to make laws that allowed them to import drugs, and then subjugated the entirety of the Qing dynasty and destroyed the Chinese society. So they are rightfully afraid of drugs.
Well, so let me just say,
I would say there's some health benefits to marijuana, as like elderly people who have, was it like a Parkinson's?
Cancer, like
they have the shakes and stuff. It helps their body calm down. So yeah, it's not always used to like get high. But anyways, I understand.
All right, but we're adding up the pros and cons. We don't have to dwell on the marijuana thing, but I do think seriously it's an important downside. But there's plenty of upsides to China too, right? But on the crime issue, of course, how can you say the lack of crime is unpleasant? Of course, that is a great thing. But how careful are they about making sure that when they punish somebody that it's really a guilty person? Here in the U.S., this is an old saying. This is actually an English jurist named William Blackson, who said this back in 1765. But it's a hallmark of the American justice system. Better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent suffer. That's not to be taken literally, but I think you get the meaning. What is the attitude that China has on that score?
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about incarcerations. The United States has 8 times as many incarcerations per capita as does China. So if anything, the United States is way more likely to crack down on people for crime. China will probably not arrest you at all until they have proven that absolutely you are guilty. That's the reason that they have a very high conviction rate in the first place.
So you're saying who's in prison and not in prison is more important than this snazzy quote I came up with. We have quotes. You have fairness. We have great quotes. You know what?
Well, I've memorized the statistics.
What did Confucius say about prison? Maybe that's who we should be quoting. Okay, no, that's a good answer, and I believe you actually. I mean, but it does matter, you know. So of course, with everybody on camera, then they probably are able to be pretty damn sure about things. Morgan is uncomfortable with the cameras, though. Should she be?
Well, Morgan, why don't you state your case more, you know, what you're thinking about it, because we've debated.
Well, I come from like an American perspective is I don't trust my government. I don't feel that they have my best interests at play, and so I would like to keep my privacy. I understand in China it's different because you have when politicians don't do their job correctly. I think there's like a hotline that you can even call when when your politician isn't doing their job adequately, or you stated the project to uplift millions of people out of poverty. They did that from assigning a government worker to select families. Maybe you could go into this a bit deeper. Select families or an individual family, and their success in that job was directly tied to how they uplifted that single family out of poverty, which we don't have that connection between the republic that we're supposed to have and the direct outcomes for our populace. So that's why I hold dear to my. Well,
do you disagree with that? I'm trying to understand. Are you saying that idea? No, well, the mass surveillance you talked about, but then what you're saying, because I've never heard about it, the person who's assigned to a family.
No, I think that's a great idea. I think that how you're directly tied to the outcome of a person shows that you makes you want to do your job correctly. Whereas today we don't have that with our politicians. So that's another reason why I don't really trust the system in the American sense. So I don't want to kind of be accepting of mass surveillance. That's why it comes from like in my neighborhood. I don't want mass surveillance. So I don't know how it works in China and how well it is for people.
Especially if you're smoking weed while you're in China. You don't want cameras.
You can't do that. So what would you say about that, Jason?
I will say this. Last week, my wife complained that a part of our garage door we have a garage. We bought this property, which is just a garage in a small town where she lives. And she said, "Oh, someone stole this little part of the garage door. Call this number 12345." I said, "Oh, I'm in Beijing. I can't call 12345." She says, she gives me the area code. So I call it 12345. I complain, "Hey, someone stole this little part of our garage door." And my wife says that there's no surveillance there. Could you please install more surveillance in our neighborhood? So my feeling about surveillance is more, please.
Okay.
All right, that's your personal preference.
But that's his personal preference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as how it's used, can you give us some insight on that? Is it all kosher the way they're using it, or is it in some cases an inappropriate invasion of privacy?
I don't have any cameras in my house that I didn't put in there. So, okay, I mean, if you're in a public space, my own philosophy is that you should be willing to, behave in a public way. And if there are cameras on the subway that prevent people from adding graffiti, or that prevent people from, robbing one another, or whatever it is, or, if you just lose something in China, you go to the police station, they'll be able to track it down because they can see where it went. But I also want to point out the fact that the surveillance state isn't as accomplished as people assume it is. They have these videos of 1 or 2 special facilities in Shanghai where they are watching all kinds of streets with really great, meticulous care, or some towns and stuff. But actually, it's not as good as that. That's kind of overdrawn or whatever. If you go down to my security in my local neighborhood, is a guy asleep most hours, like with his feet up on the chair, and there's cameras rolling. Yeah, are they recording? I assume they are. So if something bad were to happen, they can go back and look to see what happened. But if you're just taking a stroll in the park, no one actually cares. Like, no one's watching you and like, what's Ryan doing? Oh, he turned left. Everyone send the squad. No, like what they're doing is they're just recording kind of stuff that happens. If some crime were to happen, then you can go to the police department and they can find out what happened or where you lost your keys or whatever like that.
Well, in the chat, somebody made an interesting point about this, that there's a Chinese version of mass surveillance, and then there's the Palantir version of mass surveillance, or what I would say is the NSA or, Patriot Act version. I'm wondering if there's actually a difference between these two kinds of approaches in your mind, or in China. Maybe that might address what Morgan's thinking too.
There is facial recognition. So we're going to talk about, are they tracking people? Can they track people? They can, they know where you are if they want to really know. I don't think that, but typically they don't care who you are. For me, I am a famous radio show host in China. I have 130,000 people in the sphere where my radio is broadcast. No one's following me. I'm probably the only U.S. citizen in China who has a radio show, and no one's following me. No one cares what I do. I've never seen anyone in the shadows or whatever. No crime befalls me, nor does.
Well, you can't be that big a star if you don't have at least one stalker. Come on, Jason.
I did get recognized a couple times, which is surprising because I'm not actually, I'm mostly a voice, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true too. If it's on the radio, they don't have a web version of it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Morgan.
No, you're fine. I just get worried of surveillance because when you take the step to be critical of your government, you have a likelihood of having the thought police coming down on you. You have that in America in all different aspects from, you could be maligned as a Putin puppet. You can't, have a Russian flag in the background of your work. All sorts of things where it's the cultural structure silences you without having the actual government come down on you. And so that's why I'm always worried. So I'm not worried about being able to steal someone's bike off the corner of the road. I'm worried about how my government can utilize me and stifling my speech. What I think about is, Edward Snowden being able to leave the country. Would he have been able to leave the country if we had mass surveillance and cameras on every angle and it was facial recognition when you got into the airplane? I don't think so. So I think that's what I'm worried about is, having the ability to correct one's government by calling out their faults and being the whistleblower. if we have like this mass surveillance system, it's not like a likelihood of that.
Well, can I say something? Across the street from my apartment, which is a strange location, I happen to be where there is a kind of there are different courts, for different things. This is like an appeals court for people who are suing their own bosses. So, when a factory or whatever, an employer does not pay their employees, they go across the street from my house. And so in front of my house, across the street, there's like 2-3 security guards. And there's a line of people who usually look like they're from the countryside here in China. And then there's usually 1 or 2 or 3 like better dressed people who own the factory, right? And they have to go in and file in to go into the court. I don't know actually what happens in there, but usually I see the rural people coming out way happy and the richer people not so happy. So I think what's happening is these people are being forced to pay in some way the people that they have wronged. But what you will see, and I think this is fascinating about complaining in public in China, is little tiny mini protests across the street from my house where some lady or some group of people are yelling and chanting things. Nobody does anything. The police just kind of look perturbed or like, oh God, they're yelling.
Yeah, I was told when I was there that people argue with the police to their face.
Oh yeah.
And
they'll slap them. Yeah, horrible things actually. Yeah, it's they'll steal their hat off their head and run away with it.
They'd be very welcome in New York City then. That goes on all the time.
But they don't get shot like they get in America. Well, there are three shootings a day in the United States where police kill someone. I don't know why. Maybe the person did something like pull a gun. I have no idea why. I'm not going to say bad police, but obviously the police in the US are killing people. I think in the last 10 years, there was like 1 incident where the police killed someone in China because the police don't actually have guns in China. They're only special police have guns, and you rarely see those people. The last time I saw a police with a gun in China was like 10 years ago.
So how do they apprehend somebody if they need to?
They have these long, it's really bizarre. It's really cool, actually. You could call them like chopsticks. It's this long metal pole with a circle on the end of it, and they have a clasp thing. It's like one of those things that you grab stuff with when you're an old man.
Okay,
it's like a metal thing. And then you put it around their torso and pull it. 2 or 3 police operating at one time can like contain a person, and usually they will only use that if it's like an old lady with knives or something,
After the show, you send me a picture of that or find out how to get it, because we have another podcast called Probable Cause. It's about police and legal issues, and we've been following this case in Hartford, Connecticut, when a mentally disturbed guy was wielding a knife, and one of the cops shot him fatally. And we've been talking about, well, is there any other thing that could have been done? And what you just described sounds like it might
like
have
what
worked.
you do to pick up snakes, things like that. So
I was thinking like animal control. Yeah, like how they pick.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like animal control. Exactly. Yeah. Actually, I think I got a mall security cop fired about this one time. This is an interesting story. About 6 or 7 years ago, I was in a mall and this security guard was standing there, just like some kid. He's like 17 or something, right? His uniform looked disheveled. It was too big for him and it was hanging off. I said, "How does this work?" And so he actually put me in it, and he was like containing me because we were having fun. Like he was showing me how this used. His boss came along and just started yelling at him so bad. It was horrible. He was like in trouble for like basically containing me. And then like I was like, "Oh, sorry," and I left. I never saw that kid again.
Well, Jason,
on duty.
We're talking about what is freedom, and you left a democratic country to go to an authoritarian regime. And what I would like to ask you, and I hope the minders in the room will allow it, I would like to know what your social credit score is and what you need to do to get executed for having a really bad social credit score. I think that's something that people are very frightened about in the West.
In 2017, they did actually play around with the idea of having a social score where it would be something related to your behaviors.
Just
that
like this, I think.
But it was trialed a little bit, but it never happened. But the translation of China's credit score became social credit score. So I want to address this because there are people who have an app and they can show, hey, these are the people with low social credit scores in China and where they are in my neighborhood. And those people have defrauded someone They are guilty of fraud. It wasn't done by AI. They went into a court and they were like, oh, we found that this person has defrauded or is a scammer or whatever, or didn't pay their employees. And they are on a list where they have bad credit because of finances. And they are on, so you can actually track them. The reason they have these tracking devices is they don't want people scamming other people. Someone says, oh, give me a loan, it's for this. You can find out, is this person on this list or whatever? But it doesn't have to do with you whether you jaywalked or if you said something bad about the government or anything like that. Nothing like that. It's completely about credit. And for most people, it only exists because they have a credit card or whatever. And did they pay their credit bill? And how is the, and if you want to open certain like refrigerators, like they have just refrigerators in the park, and it's just stacked with stuff. There's no like, you open it. So you scan a QR code and you open it, you take what you want. It knows what those things are using, I don't know, cameras and AI, and then it charges your account automatically. If your credit score, your actual credit score is really low, it doesn't open because, it doesn't trust you or whatever. But, I don't even have this score. It doesn't exist. I don't have a credit card at all. So I don't have a credit score at all.
How do you buy stuff?
My wife has taken control of our finances. When my paycheck is put into my bank account, all of it goes into her bank account. And then she gives me an allowance through an app. And when I am only allowed to spend 5,000 RMB per month because I am a childish spender and I have to control my spending.
You know what? We're going to have to censor this conversation because my wife is watching and she is.
Can we get I want to get your wife on camera. We need to talk to her to find out what's going on.
No, this is terrible. This is terrible.
We got to make a documentary, A Day in the Life of Jason Smith. I would like to see that. Hey, let me ask you a question about a video I saw. I was going to pull it, but I couldn't. I forgot actually. But it was shot in Poland. And they were saying in this video that almost nobody goes to work on Sundays in Poland, but some stores are open, but they're open without anybody working there. And they showed, it's all like self-pay kind of thing, which happens in American stores too, but not without anybody in the store who works there. So it's completely.
Where does that happen?
In Poland.
No, you said in the America too.
No, in America, they have self-checkout, but not without the employees being there also, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So is there anything like that in China where you don't even, people are so honest and trustworthy and the surveillance is so good that the store doesn't even need any employees? Does that exist in China too?
It exists, but it's not common. So like, in Beijing, I know of a flower store in the subway where it's like that. You go into the flower store. I've never actually done it. I'm not sure how it works, but you prepare your own bouquet. Basically, you're the worker. You sit down and you cut the flowers and you package it and tie it up, and there are instructions on the wall. And then like you scan something and pay and leave. And there's no one there ever, except in the mornings and at night to like restock and clean it up and stuff. And there are some very rare stores, maybe one per mall, that are kind of like that, but it's not super common.
Yeah. That's nice that you can trust people that much. There's no stores like that here, but I know like sometimes like in rural areas where people sell the food they grow, they sometimes just leave it out and on the honor system. But that's the closest I've ever heard of it.
You brought up, Jeff, trust. Morgan brought up trust. I mean, let me ask the two of you, do both of you just trust the government? State, local, federal? I mean, what is your level of trust, maybe, is the way to ask that question right now? Because I'd like to ask Jason then about people in China on this question of trust, because we're talking about what is freedom, right? I think trust is a part of that, right? So Morgan, how about you?
Oh yeah, I mean it's at the bottom of the pit.
On a scale of on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you trust? When you say the government, Ryan,
So
you
is
mean
10
the
the
federal
least,
government or
or the
local?
10 the most that I trust?
It depends, right? It could be, you can be specific about federal government, local,
Okay, so
state
I mean,
government.
what I would say is for America, I would say the local government, you can change that. That is redeemable because you actually have a connection with the person who's in your community. The higher you get, state level, okay, you can find some good people in there. Federal level, no. I mean, you got to have, what is it? couple million to even run for these positions. It's no one that's, really in it.
I mean,
for.
Tucker Carlson said he's left the Republican Party now too.
Yeah.
So he's not with the Democrats. He's out basically. How about you, Jeff?
Tucker Carlson, by the way, just said "shut up, bitch," not to his face, but as if he were talking to Donald Trump. That's how nasty it's gotten. Here it is. I have it.
Shut up, bitch.
Oh man.
Shut up, bitch.
Oh,
That's Tucker Carlson saying
wow.
that.
Oh,
All right.
God, I didn't know that.
How about
Yeah.
you trusting the government, Jeff?
On a scale of 1 to, it varies depending on whether it's federal, state, local, the issue. But if I'm going to just sum it all up, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, 4, with 10 being the most and 1 being the least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of on the lower end too. I've always had the approach of hope for the best, but plan for the worst. And so far, what we've gotten is mostly the worst. Yeah. So, Jason, how about in China, not just you, but generally speaking, in the population?
Well, I like data. So the year 2020, Harvard Business Review put out a study where they had surveyed people all around the world, including in China, a longitudinal study which had taken many years. And they found that 95% of Chinese people trusted the government. It was like 96.5 for trusting the central government, with lower tiers in the 80s for local governments, because, sometimes local officials, they're not quite as professional as the ones at the center in Beijing. I trust the government because if something is wrong, or I can call 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not just about asking, could you please put security cameras in, or my neighbor's music is too loud, or whatever. But you can actually say, like Morgan pointed out, there's a politician who's done something wrong and it's affecting my neighborhood or whatever, and they will find out. And if a politician in the United States takes a bribe, even we saw this on the Supreme Court, people just well, I guess there's nothing we can do. But in China, if a politician is found to have taken a bribe, they are so out of office that second. Before, just immediately, the police show up, they're arrested, an investigation is conducted, and if they are found to have taken many millions or something like that, they are usually what they say they are executed, but it's actually not true. This is a misunderstanding. You'll read the headline, it'll say, scheduled to be executed with 2-year reprieve. That means they go to jail, and if they behave well in jail for 2 years, then they get to live in jail for the rest of their life. That's what they do to bad politicians in China. If we did this in the United States, I think we would begin to trust our government, because they should be afraid of us.
We'd have to build some new prisons. We already have too much of it.
I actually thought they were executed.
They're actually not executed. That's just what the headline reads. It's like you be on your best behavior in prison or else. And then typically, they just live in prison.
Let me show you guys the video of this guy in Hartford. I want to ask if that contraption you were talking about in China might work. I just pulled this while we were talking, so I'm not sure exactly how much of this we see. But this is the mentally disturbed guy with a knife who was, I don't think the shooting is in this particular video, but you'll get an idea.
Drop it, hon.
So this went on for a while, and the cops were surrounding him. Drop it, drop it, drop it. He wouldn't drop it. And he eventually moved towards one of the officers, and the guy shot him. So do you think one of those contraptions would work, Jason?
I've seen it work. There was an old lady in China. It's a very famous video people show. And she had a meat cleaver in both hands. I don't know what the deal was. She was mentally ill, or someone robbed her, or she'd lost her mind, whatever. But she's holding a meat cleaver in each hand. And 5 police come around her. They didn't have this device, but they could have. It would have worked. But they just, one pressed a piece of plastic, like a plastic container, over one of her arms, and another one did the same. And then they kind of took her down. There was no risk of her being murdered by the police, or killed by the police is the appropriate term. Because the police in China, typically they're not armed. And even if they are armed, they're not going to kill people, because that is going to have consequences for them and for society. It's going to be on the news. It's going to be dragged through the mud forever, because China knows that all these other countries have this uneven view of China, like it's in a petri dish. And so they're really careful all the time not to upset the West, who is looking at China under a magnifying glass constantly.
That's right. And if you say anything positive, then you are accused immediately of being an agent of the CCP. Now, speaking of,
I've been accused so many times.
Yeah. I mean, I was told that I was a Wu Mao. Is that visible, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
That picture. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes,
a
yes.
Wu Mao, which apparently means 50 cents, if I understand the translation correctly. So that means you're paid for anything positive you say. Now, so somebody's asked an interesting question. Speaking of the market, have you heard about Tulsi Gabbard's recent release of the COVID files? And of course, we hear regularly in our news media that COVID,
China virus,
it's
China virus.
China, fentanyl, China wants to spread communism everywhere. They're out to get us, and these are two prime examples. What do you say, Jason?
I'm just going to tell this
Could
story.
be true. I mean, right?
Jason, did you think you were going to get only softball questions on this show? Were you prepared for the grilling we're giving you?
You guys could grill me way harder than this. My trolls give it to me much worse than this. You guys are actually
well,
quite
we
friendly.
might need some examples from you.
So wait, I don't. There's two questions: is China trying to spread communism to America and take over our society? And the other one is, did China cause COVID? Okay.
And fentanyl,
right.
yeah.
Right.
Those
Okay,
problems.
fentanyl. So there's three questions. Wow. Yeah, I don't think you guys are going to be able to stay quiet this long. So, okay. Number one, I was living in Beijing when the COVID pandemic started in China, in Wuhan, and I actually moved to Wuhan next year or the end of that year. Yeah, because there were jobs suddenly. All these foreigners had fled China. They were like, oh, we're so scared. And Wuhan, the jobs were paying better. So I actually moved to Wuhan in 2020 from Beijing into where the storm had been. And actually, this is why I avoided COVID, because by the time I got to Wuhan, it was gone and the city was open and Beijing was starting to do lockdowns. So I actually escaped all of the COVID nonsense by moving to Wuhan. But if you want to read around all of the stuff that people say about COVID, it already existed and it's been proven scientifically. In 2019, it's been found in Spain. It's been found in the United States. It's been found elsewhere months before the outbreak began in Wuhan. Where did it start? Honestly, I don't care. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do, but it didn't start in China. It broke out in Wuhan. It did. So this is the city where it became big first, but it didn't actually start there. It existed elsewhere in the world before Wuhan became the big city where it actually broke out on a large scale. Fentanyl. China makes fentanyl and ships it to the United States. You know why, though? Because pharmaceutical companies in the United States need fentanyl. It's a precursor for drugs.
No, I think it's because Jeff smokes pot and he wants to move to fentanyl.
It's a gateway drug, like
fentanyl.
Somerville John said. Gateway drug.
There's also,
by the way, that great
commission.
Chinese internet is blurring your face a little bit, Jason, but maybe it's your camera.
But also, let's see. Wait.
Well, you're talking about fentanyl.
Fentanyl, right?
Yes.
There's precursor. There's manufacturing it, and there's a joint task force between the Chinese government and the U.S. federal government to oversee every shipment from China to the United States to make sure that it's only going to the appropriate people. Now, are there bad, nefarious actors in Asia who are manufacturing fentanyl and sending it to Mexico, where like cartels are turning it into drugs and shipping in the United States? Yeah, actually, I think that's been proven. And most of those shipments, actually, the study shows that U.S. citizens are the ones making the shipments from Mexico to the United States. So for people in the United States, especially politicians like Tom Cotton or Gordon Chang, this commenter on Fox News, to say China's trying to undermine U.S. society by crippling us with it. No, this is ridiculous. That is taking the facts out of context to slander China.
So what about
communism? Okay,
Exactly.
So communism. Firstly, China is led by the Communist Party of China, and so they are ideologically communist. But China's economy is not communist. It's a socialist market economy, which is actually not that dissimilar from the United States economy, because we have social security.
Except that it works better.
Yeah, it does work better. I mean, that we'd have to talk. That'd be a whole other thing. But like China is a mixed economy. Fact. I go outside. It's KFC, Pizza Hut in my neighborhood, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell. All of this stuff is here. There's a Sam's Club that I go to. Actually ships to my house. I don't go there anymore.
Wow.
They ship to my house. We got Carrefour from France, Decathlon, all these huge companies here. I use a Gillette to shave, my neck because that's the best. It's Johnson
Clearly
& Johnson,
doesn't
I
work.
think.
You've got that big beard.
Well, I shave under here. I don't want to be, scruffy. I want to have clean beard. But I have all kinds of American devices all around me all the time, and they're sold here in China. We are an integrated global economy, just like the United States is. Like, you use international products, Chinese use international products, we use U.S. products. There are Tesla's made here. I mean, we have a gigafactory in Shanghai. I mean, a lot of people love Teslas in China. It's a very popular car. Actually, more Teslas are sold than any individual Chinese brand of EV in China in many months. China's overall EVs sell more because there are more EV companies total, but Tesla's very popular. I was in a Tesla a couple weeks ago with my friend who was driving me back from Shandong to Beijing. So,
do people in China have much of an opinion about Elon Musk, or is it just the product?
They don't have the negative opinion that Americans have because they don't know what the salute, all the Western hatred for Germany and World War II and Nazis isn't quite as internalized here because the Chinese were fighting the Japanese. They have a different context. So that thing that Elon Musk did, they're like, oh, he's a genius. He's making spaceships. So that Chinese people actually love Elon. They don't understand our reasons for having like a second guessing about this guy.
Interesting. So, by the way, speaking of fighting Japan, in 1943, there was a movie here in the U.S. called Gung Ho, which is, by the way, we always talk about Marines who are gung ho. It turns out that comes from the Chinese meaning work together. And what was it? Colonel Carlson's Raiders were the American Marines who went over to China, learned from the Chinese peasants how to fight the Japanese, and played a role. So it's kind of an interesting story there that I'm working on. But before we go on here, I just want to do a plug here. Jason, you've come out with a book, A World Beyond Poverty, China's Roadmap to a Shared Future. So I want to bring this up here because maybe we in the West need to redefine freedom. Maybe these things about the party, or these things that we've been bringing up about the censorship in China, the Great Firewall, which we didn't get to talk about. Some of these things, maybe they're not really the issue. So why don't you help us with how the Chinese would define freedom in reality, since we have some time here. And so now that we know you've got a book, which we need to read.
Well, the book is not about freedom. It's about, I just want to say, because I'm not trying to sell the book. Don't buy the book if you don't want to. But, what China has done.
I'm trying to sell the book.
Well, you buy the book, don't buy the book. What it is it's a compendium. It's not a book you read that's like a readable book. It is a dictionary of projects that have been built around the world by China, almost for free in some cases, where China built schools and hospitals, roads and bridges in Africa and Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and Latin America, all over the world, including in Europe, for free many times. A lot of people say, oh, debt trap. Well, actually, a lot of stuff that China builds is a gift. There are all these friendship bridges and friendship hospitals all over the world, 100 in Africa, 1,000 schools in Iraq, all kinds of stuff all over the world, because China is actually trying to build a world without poverty. Slowly over time. China's contribution is enormous, and then we're talking trillions of dollars in various currencies, including the dollar and the RMB. Now, is there debt? Yeah, hell yeah, there's debt. There's lots of huge loans, usually concessional, where it's like 1 or 2 or 3%, 0%. And China also forgives debt. Like Kenya just had a lot of its debt erased just recently, a few days ago actually. But China is really trying to help the developing world, and this is not just because they love the world. Okay, there are geopolitical strategic reasons for doing that. Europe and the United States historically underdeveloped. That's a word that was used in a book to describe what Europe did to Africa. Underdeveloped. How Europe underdeveloped Africa. That's the name of the book. They strategically underdeveloped parts of the world so that they could exploit their material resources for their own wealth and benefit. And China's trying to undermine Euro-American strategic power by helping Africa become its own power so that it's not exploited, so that the world can become more multipolar. China doesn't want to dominate the world strategically. Read every book I have on China written by Chinese leaders, and they publish books all the time. What they want is to make the world prosperous enough everywhere that they can't be taken advantage of anymore. And that is part of their geopolitical strategy. And so the book outlines how China built these projects all over the place. You talked about freedom and why is China so free? And so I want to read this really quickly. This is from Latana, which is actually formerly the president of Latana, a European survey institute, was one of the former heads of NATO. So this is not some Chinese think tank institute that made this. How China is the most democratic country in the world. This is from 2021. According to a global survey, the countries considered the most democratic by their citizens are China and Vietnam. And at the top of the list, with citizens who rate their own country by how democratic it is, China, number one. And this has been reaffirmed by other studies where Chinese people rate their own democracies by other institutes. Now, sometimes you see these Western institutes which actually create their own metrics and rate countries. And they're like, oh, let's consider this and consider that and consider this. And then they will rate China really low. But if you ask Chinese people, they say democracy is important, much higher than people in the United States. And then they say, is my country democratic? Yes, much higher than the United States, usually at least double the United States in both of these categories. So is China free? Is it democratic? People think so.
So Ryan mentioned your book, and I mentioned earlier your podcast and your X page. But before we went on tonight, I learned that you're the host of a radio show. So I'm kind of curious about that, and I bet the audience is too. Is it in English, the radio show?
It is. So it's the equivalent of having a Mexican, Spanish channel in the United States where you have another language, and it's like most people can't listen to it, but a lot of people do. It's broadcast in Beijing, Shanghai, Nangsha, Chengdu. I heard that it's in Chongqing from someone who lives there, but I didn't know officially that it was there. In Lhasa, a few other cities in China, 130 million people are able to turn the radio on. People don't listen to the radio, but if you're in your car and you turn it on, you'll find me in Beijing. We're 91.5 FM, and it's the Bridge to Podcast. It's the same show that I interviewed Ryan for. But that instead of just being on YouTube, it's also on the radio. And it's also in Afghanistan.
It's just the exact same thing you put on the radio, or
basically. Well, I typically record about an hour, and they have to do 55 minutes. So I think they do cut stuff. I don't know what they cut. I don't really listen to the radio.
Right, but you don't do separate content for the radio.
Right, it's not separate content. It's in Samoa, Afghanistan, Tonga, Cambodia, and Pakistan, and maybe in one or two other countries as well.
That is bridge building.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does your bridge have a waterfall, however?
I've been to waterfalls? This is a trick question. I didn't know there were any questions about waterfalls. Now you've tripped me up.
There's that bridge that has a waterfall in China that I've seen.
All right. I haven't been to that bridge. I haven't been there.
So is this radio / podcast daily?
It airs daily, but I don't make them daily. They air old episodes in cycles and stuff. They have their own metric on how to do that. I make 2 shows a week.
Okay. And then the other days is like the best of Jason.
I guess so.
So how is it for somebody who doesn't speak Chinese? I have a feeling you don't speak Chinese, but maybe you do. I don't. You do?
Oh, yeah, of course. I've lived here 14 years.
14 years.
His wife is Chinese.
So
she wouldn't give him she wouldn't give him the allowance unless he learns a few words.
That's right. That's right. So how would you say for somebody who doesn't speak Chinese, how difficult is it to get around? So like I'm trying to tell Jeff he can come with me to China, because you and I have talked about how every American should come to China at least once.
I need a Chinese escort.
Go to Shanghai. Right. Go to Shanghai. It's easier. Shanghai has the largest expat community in all of China. And so it's kind of geared around that. Everyone there kind of speaks English. So if you walk into a Starbucks or a bar or whatever, the bartender or the barista, they're going to speak enough English that you can get by. Plus people, you'd be surprised if you learn 3 or 4 Chinese phrases like 我要这个, which I know that sounds like a lot, but it just means I want that. You can actually just say Jega. If you can say Jega, you can pretty much do anything, because this means like that. So you're in a restaurant and you're pointing at something, Jega.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll know that's what you want, right? It means this. So if you can say this, actually, that's like 90% of the communication you need. Or, where is the bathroom? Once you got that and Jega, you're pretty good. And, thank you, baby.
Right.
Okay.
Xie. And I heard that you can say those things incorrectly too. So you mentioned your radio show is in Lhasa. I believe that is in Tibet, right?
Yeah,
which
she's
is
on
one of
the
those
autonomous region. Yeah.
So that's
There's
one
a
of those
lot of-
areas we have to free, right?
Well, I've been there a few times, actually quite a few times, and I don't think they want you guys to go free them. Please don't do that.
Oh, so it's different than what we've heard, huh?
Well, what is it how was it for Iraqi people when the United States went there to bring freedom? I'm pretty sure they would have preferred we didn't come. So please, let's not do that to other peoples around the world.
Maybe that is also Iran recently too. So,
Oh gosh. Oh yeah.
In Venezuela and now Cuba.
Yeah. No one really wants what American freedom, when it's delivered, they realize what is happening.
so
Oh, no.
Jason, does that mean you are against the United States since you've
No,
spent
I'm
14 years
for
in
the
China?
people. I think Morgan and I have the same philosophy. I love
Oh.
Americans, the American people, our country, our culture, our nation, but I don't trust our government, and I don't think we should.
Mhm.
So you moved there because you met a Chinese woman and married her? Is that the reason, or you moved there and then met your wife? What was the order, the
I
chronology?
intended to travel around the world, one country after another, every couple of years. I went to South Korea for a year. I was like, oh, this is nice. And then I went to China, and I just like, whoa, this is something else. And I just
It
got
is.
stuck.
It is. Oh, so you didn't get past country number 2?
No, I traveled to 20 countries, but I just as soon as I got here, I was in love, and I was in love with the country. I met my wife later, and I was like, oh wow, I think I just want to stay here, and I just did.
No.
Huh. Very interesting.
All right. Well, the brainwashing continues. Pretty soon, Morgan and I will be heading to China. I think you
I would
just
love
about,
to go to China.
Yeah.
I just haven't had the opportunity. So
Well, Jason, you have an invitation to me, which I want to somehow take you up on. You said the next time I come to Beijing, you said there's a village that was totally impoverished that is now completely developed and transformed. That you think that would be a good thing for an outsider to see in terms of the transformation in China. Is that right?
I've been to about 50 of these. Actually, my new book is about that. I just finished the first draft last week. I've been celebrating by not doing much lately. That's my celebration, because I've been just like go to work, come home, keep working on the book, weekends work on the book. And I've traveled to villages all over China, which have been raised out of poverty. The one I was telling you about is called Taiheng Shuizhen. I've been there twice. And they, if you go back in time to 2015, this place was, horrible. It'd be like walking into any one of the poorest villages, in any country in the world. And wow, people are like, they don't have clothes, they don't have food, and now it's wealthy, and like a lot of not super wealthy. I'm not talking, it's not like New York City or something, but like it's like a tourist town, and people are happy, and they own their own shops, and and they're doing well, and they have security, and they have new homes and new apartments, running water, electricity, 5G towers, and clean new roads, and that's been replicated. I just want to show you this. I have this stack of books. These are just 3 of the books I have on poverty alleviation villages. And this is 100 village examples, how they raised them out of poverty. What's funny is I have about 10 times as many of these different kinds of books about them. I almost never see the same village statistics and example repeated in any of these books, which means that just tens of thousands of villages all over China that have just been raised out of poverty. Like Morgan said, where like the government came in and they were responsible for how they were going to raise them out of poverty. And it wasn't just it's not just handouts. So I don't want to criticize the US system of just giving people Social Security, but China gave these people skills, and they gave them industries, and they said, what do you want your village to become? And what do you grow here? How about growing this instead? Is that okay with you? No? Okay. You want to grow this? Okay. How can we add value to that? Okay. Here's a little factory. to turn you're not just growing raspberries, you're making raspberry juice and raspberry jam and raspberry alcohol and all these different raspberry products, and you're exporting raspberry. They gave them 5G towers so they could export that to not just the neighboring village but all over China or international markets. And they're selling these products. I actually buy nuts from Xinjiang just because I've been to places where they grow the nuts in Xinjiang, and I was like, well, I should help this village. So every time I want to buy walnuts, I buy it from that place. And you can just go on Pinduoduo, which is like Amazon in China, and you can buy stuff from all these villages all over China, and they're selling stuff everywhere. And it's raising villages out of poverty, not through just Social Security, but that is part of it, actually. If a household has people with disabilities, they do get a dole. They do get help from the government. And there is subsidized housing in major cities. And poor people do have special schools for them and special universities for them and special vocational schools for them. But it's really, and their goal is to give people the means by which to raise themselves out of poverty.
Wait a second. That's the American thing. We're the ones that are supposed to be doing that. And on that note, I will just remember that when I was in Shanghai, I met with the foreign ministry there, and he started quoting Abraham Lincoln back to me, that the mission is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But of course, he was also referring to Sun Yat-sen, and I've seen President Xi Jinping talk about Confucius and Sun Yat-sen. So it starts to be that if you are not ideological about these questions and actually try to investigate, maybe we could learn something from China and improve the United States similarly.
Alexander Hamilton is one of the most respected people in China. You know why? Because he had he was very industrial policy oriented. He wanted the United States to deliberately subsidize and build industry in the United States. And China's like, that's a good idea. And that's actually one of the people that was foundational in China's decision to adopt industrial policy. They were like, it worked for Alexander Hamilton. It can work for us.
So there you go.
Is there a touring version of the Broadway musical Hamilton playing in China?
We have the museum. They're downtown. There's a place where they have symphony and all of the big Broadway plays come through here.
Oh, they do, huh?
They do.
And
there you go.
In English or in Chinese?
In English. I saw Wicked in Beijing.
Actually, Chinese isn't the language, right? It's Mandarin. Isn't that correct or no?
It depends on what you're talking about. When you're talking about Chinese, that includes all the languages that are Chinese, Cantonese, Hakka, and Hokkien, and Mandarin, and Tibetan, and Uyghur, and all these other languages too. But when you're talking about Mandarin, you're talking about the specific dialect that comes out of Beijing, that has been refined, and the text has been simplified, and that's called Hanzi. Actually, the written language is called Hanzi. But then you have Cantonese is a slightly different spoken language, which is very similar. It's like, listening to someone speak, it's Italian or something. It's like, oh, you get a word here and there, and okay, that.
What about this this name of yours that you're using on X?
That's my legal name in China. I actually have a Wuxing 5-star card, permanent resident of China. Mm-hmm. I can live in China forever. It's very rare. There's about 5,000 of us. And
oh, wow.
I have a Chinese name on that card, and my Chinese name is Shang Guanjiewen. I didn't choose it for myself. My wife's uncle said my choice sucked, so he gave me a better name.
All right. Well, there it is. You can, if you forget that, folks, just search under Jason Smith, and you'll probably.
There are so many questions that are coming in through the chat. We could probably do another 2 more hours with you, Jason. So I do hope that you come back. Morgan, Jeff, do you guys have something else to bring up?
No, I just want to thank, and I think it's a good time to wrap, but I really want to thank Jason for playing along and drinking wine at 7 a.m. in the morning.
True player, yes. We appreciate that.
Maybe not a good habit, but
he said he's taking a break, so
yeah, right. All right. Anything in particular? Is there any specific thing coming up that you want to promote, Jason, other than the stuff we mentioned?
Rather than promoting myself, which you've already done a great job of, I would just like to encourage Americans, whatever you think about China, you love it, you hate it, you're not sure, just come here one time and visit, decide for yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
True.
Maybe we can get an Airbnb with 3 bedrooms for the whole Winers team.
right? Yeah. And we
Yeah,
can,
do they do that, Jason? Airbnb? Is that
They do. They have homestays, Airbnb, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
look, Jeff?
Like the
You
actual-
are
like the
on to
act-
something, Jeff. Jeff had
Yeah,
an
we're
idea about that.
Yeah,
Just
we're
stay in a
talking.
5-star hotel. Dude,
That's like $150.
Oh, all right.
no,
well, okay.
oh yeah, $150 for a 5-star hotel for all three of you with like a really nice suite. We're talking like that's a lot. I mean, I stay in 5-star hotels, 500 RMB. That's like $80. Like it's costs nothing. Just stay in a really nice hotel. Treat yourselves.
Wow.
It's cheaper here anyway.
Yeah.
Well, won't the Communist Party pay for it if we just promise to spew a lot of propaganda?
I wish that was the case.
All
That's
right.
right. That's right.
All right, Jason,
thank you
you're a
very
cool
much.
dude in a loose mood. We love you. Thank you so much.
Please come back too.
All right. Thank you, Morgan and Ryan, and thanks to our beloved audience. America's long national nightmare has ended. That means Ask the Inspector will return next
Oh.
Wednesday at 7 p.m. with our favorite weapons inspector, Scott Ritter, and join us Tuesday night on Probable Cause. Take care, everybody.
Bye.